Teachers and principals talk about leadership as an enterprising outcome. In an education for enterprise environment, participants both lead and inspire others to lead. In this clip, teachers tell how they communicated with parents and members of the community to achieve effective mentoring for their students. They share how they adjusted their leadership styles and how an enterprising approach to leadership inspired those around them.
Leadership is something that is critical in education for enterprise projects. Leadership starts with the teacher being leading the project itself, but in a different way to a teacher would normally lead a program. We're talking about the teacher leading the project, but devolving that leadership to the students themselves, devolving the responsibility for the outcomes to the students, and encouraging the students to take ownership of the project themselves.
Putting the teacher less in the teacher-director role and more in the source of information or guidance.
But stepping back and giving the ownership to the people who are involved as well, and being prepared, in fact, to step back and let them make mistakes.
I have to become a different sort of teaching personality. I have to stand back, let the children try their own thing.
So their job was actually important, and they saw how important it was by having to manage adults.
I didn't think that the children would be so involved and so focused that my input was so little.
And move adults around the hall, sort of jobs that the teachers do. They actually took over what a teacher would do.
Just looking at the interaction between some of the students and the teachers there, it just seemed to be, it's not at that normal level that you have, the teacher-student level. The interaction is at that level,
I found that I had to give away my control, if you like. That's a fairly scary thing to do as a principal, particularly when you see all sorts of things happening.
And it was that different relationship, I think, that was the most exciting thing for me. Seeing that, that learning, when real learning is taking place, there are no teachers and learners, they're in it together.
The principal has to see where it fits in with the culture of the school, with what you're trying to achieve with your aims and goals, and because this can be adapted in so many different ways, I can't think of any school where it wouldn't be an added bonus to actually be involved in something like this.
Looking at the teachers that I'm talking to, I'm seeing that what's coming through is a sort of inner confidence. That they know that it can work. So once they've got that confidence that they know it can work, then they're prepared to give away that ownership. And become involved at a different level.
It gives teachers also an opportunity to give those children perhaps leadership opportunities, and children that in the academic side of the classroom might not. They might actually be very good perhaps in the sporting field.
And just everyone's enthusiasm and their interest, and the way other staff members who hadn't had the background that I had, going to the workshops and doing the reading and being part of the contract.
How do we recognise the enterprising capabilities in the students? How do we articulate what those capabilities are? And how do we look at growing those capabilities? That's the next stage.
So it was really great to see that the little seed of an idea that we sowed with the staff in the first initial staff meeting just blossomed. It was just great.
There's also things that we noticed that didn't come out, and that's just as important. Leadership skills, for example, in some areas they weren't as good as they could have been, and it showed that. And it showed that some of the little ones weren't getting involved as much because their leaders didn't have the skills to involve them as much as they could have. And so we've seen that, so that'll be built into the program.
I can't do it all. I mean, I might have a vision and a powerful drive to do what I do and do it the best I can, but I can't do it on my own. And I've got to have people coming alongside me that can go in the same direction as I want to go.
And the group that had made certificates for all the children, they miscalculated. And as quick as a flash, The young girl turned to them, apologised to the young children and said, "You will all have your certificates by the end of lunchtime." And she did that. She just completely took over. This is a school where we find it quite difficult to bring a lot of parents into our school. With our Space Expo, we had the most parents coming into the hall and interacting with their children than we've had at anything for some time.
And it's really great in a small rural community as we are, that the community did become involved. We tried as much as we could to use local suppliers and to use local experts, and I think that's really, really good.
This was really difficult because parents, of course, come in all shapes, sizes and with various sorts of personalities.
So you can have cases where the mentors are sort of learning at the same time, and sometimes that's not always ideal, so they may be starting to do more for the children than they really should be doing.
And you have the very strong-minded parent who actually can see immediately what the solution to this problem is, and it was very, very difficult to gag them. And they had to really understand that the gagging was really important.
You know, there's a lot of things that are going on in a school and a school community every day that by making the students aware of their ability to address those issues, you can involve them more and you can develop those enterprising solutions that we're talking about.